Today we're going to talk about how to cut your 6 sheets of pattern paper for Kendra's Card Challenge 21 and then put together the first 2 sketches. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. Today is the kickoff for the Kendra's Card Challenge 21. That means we are up to 21 quarterly challenge put together by Cards by Kendra. And this is a hop. All the design team members will be sharing assembling sketches. So if you watch through the playlist that's linked in the description box below, you will see all 15 sketches, like inspiration on putting them together, how to use the sketches, and things like that. So today I am going to be sharing with you how I cut down the 6 sheets of pattern paper. And I am working with the Stamps of Life All Smiles collection. It's just bright, fun colors like unicorns and hearts. Just very cheery and bright. And then I have some other accessories here that came along with the pad. But like I said, I am going to be sharing the cutting guide, so we will go ahead and get started with that, and I will explain the process and tell you more about the challenge. Starting with cutting guide A. Each cutting guide has a little scissor icon that is indicating the best place to start cutting. So I do cut off like that 3-inch strip and then kind of work my way up from there. I'm not going to give you the measurements of all the cuts I'm making because you can follow that along once you have the PDF. But we'll kind of give you tips and, let you know how I work through each of the cutting guides. I like to lay my pieces out how they are in the cutting guide. This helps me to make sure I get the pieces in with my correct baggie for each card sketch. So I have a baggie for each of the sketches, like they're numbered 1 through 15, and then as I cut each of the sheets, I put the pieces in the baggie. You'll see that here in the end. This is how I do it. Some other ways you could handle this would be to have a stack for like a numbered stacks 1 through 15 if you have that kind of space on your desk. And as you cut, you put the cutting guide shows you which card sketch, gives you the number of the card sketch that it's going to go with. So you would, as soon as you cut that piece, you would put it in that pile or with that baggie that's laid out. I don't have that space in my video area, so I kind of do this off to the side, and then we'll put it in the baggie later. So on cutting guide A, it does call for 2 circles and like a 3-inch and a 2.5. So I did take my dies and took that over to my die cutting machine and cut my circles out. And then for both of these circles, it calls to cut them in half. So that is what I'm doing here. If you have punches that are large enough, you could use punches as well. Or if you don't have punches or dies, you could find something that's close in size and then trace them and hand cut them out. So here you can see my baggies. They're nothing fancy. They are like reused, repurposed bags. Some are baggies, some are the like cellophane sleeves. So you can use whatever you want to help keep your pieces organized. You could use envelopes, you could use fancy pouches, recycled baggies like I am, whatever. The important thing is to stay organized and keep all the pieces for each card together. So moving on to cutting guide B, I'm going to start where the scissors is and cut off like that 1.5-inch strip at the top. Right there, I am cutting off about 1/2 inch. The paper I'm using from Stamps of Life is like 6.5-ish, I think it was like 6.5 by 6. So I did need to trim off 1/2 inch to give me my 6 by 6 piece so that I could cut it for you according to the cutting guide. So basically it's just working through each guide and cutting the pieces down. And I, again, put them off to the side in the same order they are on the cutting guide, so then I know which pieces are going to go into which numbered baggie. If you happen to be new to Kendra's Card Challenge, let me do a quick introduction. each quarter, Cards by Kendra puts together a PDF that includes cutting guides and sketches that help you turn 6x6 sheets of pattern paper into 15 cards. So you get the cutting guides, you get the sketches. If you choose to only do, like, maybe you don't want to do all 15, maybe you don't have time for all 15, you can do one card at a time. Like if you happen to really love a particular sketch, each of the sketches does have measurements on them so that you can do sketches individually. But if you want to do the whole challenge, like it's pretty easy to follow the cutting guides and then assemble the sketches from there. You do need, in addition to the pattern paper, you do need some matting layers, which she does not give you cutting guide for that, but she does give you measurements for that on the card sketches. So that is something that you will need to do, like, in addition. But as far as, you know, helping you maximize the use of 6 sheets of pattern paper, I mean, it's pretty amazing that she comes up with all these different ways to turn them into 15 cards. I will have a link in the description box below with a video from Cards by Kendra where she explains more in detail about this quarter's challenge. Each challenge does run for an entire quarter, so 21 will run from January through March of 2026. I am moving on to cutting guide C here, and this one is pretty quick. It does have a larger piece, and so there are not as many cuts. You do want to pay attention if you're using patterned paper, because she does tell you on the cutting guides there's an arrow that tells you what the direction is of that particular piece on the sketch it's going on. So, you know, if it's if the arrow is facing up, then that means it's going to be vertical. If the arrow is facing to the side, it means it's going to be, you know, more of a horizontal piece. So there are a couple times where I do have directional patterns, but luckily my paper is double-sided, so I can just turn it to the other side. Usually the B side is not directional, so keep that in mind. So in Kendra's video, she does tell you how you can get each quarter's printable. She does ask that you sign up as a free Patreon member on her website, and you don't have to pay anything for it. It's just a matter of signing up for a free account so that you can download the sketches each quarter. If you would love to support her in her efforts further, she does have like paid tier options in her Patreon membership levels, and she's got some amazing benefits that she offers. And there is in the PDF, like there's a page that goes through her membership benefits, but some of them include mystery sampler kits or mystery card kits, early access to things, access to archives of the challenges. So like there are some really great benefits that definitely make your money, like it makes it worthwhile for the membership. So check out her video in the description box below so that you can kind of get more information and find out how to download your printable. And then there are also multiple chances to win prizes. But I will come in and tell you that on cutting guide D for the 4th paper, I happen to have punches that work for the circles that the cutting guide calls for. So the 1 1/4 inch circle, and then the 2 inch and a 2 1/4. So again, you can use dies, punches, or like I said, freehand trace the circle and then freehand cut. There are multiple ways that you can get the shapes that she calls for in the cutting guides. But back to multiple chances to win prizes. So the easiest way to have a chance to win a prize is there is a link also in the description box below for a giveaway form. And you can fill that out on each of the videos in the playlist today. So you can have like multiple chances to win this particular prize. It's like a big prize bundle that she's giving away, and she goes into detail in her video about what all is included. But you can fill out that form in each of the videos, and then each of the videos will have a passphrase for you. I will give you mine a little bit later in my video, but you put that passphrase in on each individual videos form. So you would put my passphrase in for mine, you would put Leslie's passphrase in for hers, and so on and so on. And then that gives you multiple chances to win the big prize, the kickoff prize package for KCC 21. You can also upload photos onto the InLinkz pages, which there are QR codes for that on the PDF printable. You can upload a set, like a photo of all 15 of your cards, and you can do that once per month. And then that gives you opportunities to win prizes as well. Again, Kendra covers all of that probably in more detail, but I did just want to mention that if you are new to her card challenges. So guides E and F are pretty quick because, again, they have some larger pieces. So these will go pretty quick. When I kind of figure out which papers that I want to use. I just kind of pick some coordinating and kind of a mix of patterns. And then I kind of start into my using the cutting guides, and then I will go through the sketches and do the mats, and then I will go back and do like embellishments and sentiments. So I kind of work through the bags several different times. That's just how my brain works. Some people are able to kind of work one bag at a time, or, one envelope at a time, one card sketch at a time, and do all of the different pieces that they need. I'm kind of more of an assembly line worker, I guess. That's how my brain works. So that's kind of the steps that I take. And I will actually have a video next week where I show you how I assemble all 15 cards. So you can check back for that. But today I am going to show you sketches 1 and 2. And again, if you work through all of the videos in the playlist, you will see all 15 cards assembled by the team members. And then Lynn at the very end will show you all 15 cards that she has made, like she's completed the whole challenge for you. And so she's going to share those cards with you. So I'm taking my circle and I lay my half patterned paper. Like I just used some white cardstock and cut a 3-inch circle to match what my half patterned paper circle is. And then I glued my pattern paper's half circle and then the strip across the middle, and I'm just trimming that down. I have a happy birthday sentiment that I've already stamped. And then as far as the matting goes on the sketches, and I will go into this a little more in detail too whenever I show you my assembly video, but the white and gray or black areas that don't have a letter associated with them, those are all your choice. So in this particular case, I went with some cardstock and did some embossing on it. You could use pattern paper, which you'll see in my next card. You could use plain cardstock. You could skip the matting in some cases altogether. So whenever she has an area that's usually noted with just white, gray, like a darker gray or black, and it does not have a letter associated with it, you can put whatever you want. So also on this other half of the circle, she just has an image. Anytime she has an image, you can also choose, you don't have to use that exact image or shape. You can use whatever embellishment, or you can put your sentiment there. Like you have a little bit of freedom on how you decorate your card. You just need to make sure that the layout of the card is similar enough to the original sketch so that whenever you upload all 15, it is easy to tell like which card goes with which sketch, if that makes sense. So I decided that I needed to bring in an extra mat for my sentiment because I was layering it over like the white part of my circle. So I brought in a purple to go with the little like heart garland that I put at the bottom of my circle element here in the center. And then we'll just layer that on. The sketches, and Kendra will say it too, the sketches are they can be a good jumping point or a starting point. And you can change them up. You can change up the orientation. You can kind of flip like which side you put things on. You can make it work for you, but again, you just have to keep it similar enough that it can be easily identified to one of the original sketches. So I decided to bring in some purple hearts from the sticker sheet that goes along with this pad, just to add a little bit of something up there on the opposite corner of my sentiment to kind of balance the card out. But then sketch 1 is done. Next up is sketch 2. And this is one of those cases where the orientation of my cutting guide pieces did not match the direction of the paper. So I am just turning them over to the yellow side, and it's kind of nice because I decided to go with a pattern paper for a mat this time, just to kind of show you guys that you have some freedom as to what you use here. You can kind of mix things up, and so the yellow actually works better anyway because it stands out better on that kind of busy pattern that I chose for my matting piece. So I'm just gluing those down kind of in the general areas that they are on the sketch, and then we'll add my mat to my card base. I have a sentiment, another happy birthday sentiment that I've already pre-stamped and trimmed down, and I'm just going to add that to a little green mat so that it will also stand out on the mat. And then in the pad, the All Smiles pad, there were 2 different pages of images, and you can use the coordinating die sets from Stamps of Life, or I just fussy cut them, and I'm going to use one of those unicorns as my embellishment on this card. And I did add some foam to the back of that just to help it pop out. And then I decided that I needed, because of those, the plain yellow of the circles was starting to bother me. And so I took a scrap of that green cardstock I used to mat my sentiment, and then just took and punched some small hearts. So again, this wasn't part of the sketch, but you can totally still tell what sketch I used. This is just adding a little bit extra to make the sketch work for me and my taste. So that completes sketch 2. Again, please be sure to check out the playlist below. My passphrase is KCC 11 because that is when I started playing along with Kendra's card challenges. So please check out the description for all of the links. I hope you guys enjoy playing along. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope you all have a very crafty day.